All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we're going to talk about what MLB teams that made the postseason last year have a chance of missing the postseason in 2025. And I think you could look at one division in particular and say, yeah, that's probably not happening again. And that is three teams from the American League Central made the playoffs last year. That probably isn't going to happen again. I don't think that will happen again. I think the Tigers are going to be better this year. I like that they brought back Jack Flaherty. Gleyber Torres, interesting move in some ways, but I think that's another bat. Because he did very well in the leadoff spot for the Yankees last year. So I think bringing him in with the guys that you have. I feel like they could be better, but only time will tell. The Guardians, I know they made some trades in the offseason. They traded Andres Jimenez to the Blue Jays. They traded Josh Naylor to the Diamondbacks. So, we'll see, what happens there. Jose Ramirez was not particularly happy about, those moves. But, because looking at, the Guardians and their projected lineup. You got Stephen Kwan. You got some young players, like Manzardo, or I remember homered in the championship series against the Yankees. They brought back Carlos Santana. That's what I was trying to remember. What did they do at first base? They brought back Carlos Santana, who's an older player, to replace Josh Naylor. You still got Lane Thomas, Will Brennan. You still got Bo Naylor. The rotation, you got Tanner Beebe at the top. Shane Bieber, of course, was hurt last year. I don't believe they're going to have him to start the season. But, this has been the Guardians division. So we'll see, if they, in recent years. So maybe it's not them. The Royals, I know there's people that have question marks about their lineup and, if they're pitching. Like, is Seth Lugo going to be the same player that he was last season? The same pitcher? Because he was pretty good last year. It's 16-9 with the 3 ERA. I mean, are we going to get the same Seth Lugo? They gave Cole Reagans a new contract. He's a good pitcher. But, it definitely could be a central team. But there's also the possibility that maybe the Houston Astros, with a lot of the changes that have been going on with them, and, injuries as well, could they be a team that misses the playoffs? I mean, it's hard to say that they're not going to make the playoffs. Because I still think, with Altuve, and you still got Yordan Alvarez, you still got Jeremy Pena. I feel like this team could still make it. But, yeah, you lose Bregman, you lose Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker's a big bat in that lineup. So, but you know what? I think they're pitching. We'll see. You got Framber Valdez at the top. Ronel Blanco, who threw that no-hitter last year. You have him. Hunter Brown, but they also traded, Ryan Presley, who's been a staple in that bullpen for a long time. They traded him to the Cubs. You got Josh Hader at the back of the bullpen. So, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting with the Astros. But, you look at the other teams. I think the Rangers are a team that could bounce back and maybe knock them off. Maybe the Mariners lineup actually hits. And, they could take over a playoff spot. It's hard for me to say that the Astros will be a team that misses out. Because that division is still winnable. I saw that in some of the articles I was looking at, that maybe the Padres could be a team that misses out. The division is better, and they could be maybe looking to sell off pieces. We heard the rumors of Dylan Cease and Michael King possibly being moved. I mean, I think if the Padres are out of it at the deadline, you could see maybe they start to trade off some pieces. But I feel like the Padres are still a team that I see making it. But the Diamondbacks, I see, with their pitching getting back in. I named a bunch of National League teams or American League teams. What about some National League teams besides the Padres? I mean, I still feel like the Phillies, the Mets, and the Braves. I think I would pencil them all in as playoff teams. With the Central, I mean, maybe the Brewers. They end up being disappointing this year, and maybe you see the Cubs win that division, or the Reds with Terry Francona. But the Brewers have kind of owned the Central in recent years. And when they traded Corbin Burns last year, I thought, are they going to be the same? But they still made it. They just got they still got knocked out in the wild card round though, which didn't surprise me. Actually, when I look at the American League East, the Orioles losing Corbin Burns, that concerns me, but I still think that they're going to be a team that's going to be in the mix with their lineup. I don't want to say they're going to miss the playoffs, but I think they could be a wild card team again. And then I look at the Yankees. Now, this could happen to every team or any team. But you do wonder if guys continue to get hurt, if that's just going to be too much to overcome and they don't make the playoffs. It wouldn't surprise me. Because we saw a couple years ago what happened when the injuries stacked up, including Aaron Judge getting hurt. They fell apart. Even when Judge came back, and it was just too much to overcome. They missed the playoffs. They go 82-80. And now going into this year, you have Giancarlo Stanton gets hurt. Sorry. Apologize for that. Always happens, at least once. But you have Giancarlo Stanton, who's hurt. Luis Gil's hurt. If the injuries continue to stack up, the Yankees might not have the depth. And you could say the division got better. The Red Sox got better. I know we just talked about the Orioles, but they're not going anywhere. The Blue Jays made some moves this offseason. The Rays always give the Yankees fits. And you just lost Juan Soto. And who's gonna step up and try to at least attempt to replicate some of his production? There's a lot of question marks going into the year with the Yankees. And I think, a lot of the ifs will pan out, kind of like last year. But then there's going to be some that don't. So, yeah, no, I could definitely see a world in which the Yankees just don't make the playoffs because of injuries and maybe, the lineup is not as good or the pitching's not as good as many people would have thought. It's going to be interesting to see. But I think more so, like I said, you look at the Central divisions. The Brewers, I think, could be a team that doesn't make it. And you could see another team take over that division. And then I just don't see 3 American League Central teams making the playoffs. I don't see it happening. Someone's going to miss out. And we'll see, and we got, a few weeks until opening day. And I will do, predictions and, who's going to win what division. I don't want to do anything yet because I want to, take a look at all these teams and then make an assessment afterwards. But I thought this would be a topic to do just because, we did, a couple weeks ago. I forget when, last week or 2 weeks ago. Teams that missed out on the playoffs, what teams will make it this upcoming season. But Yeah, no, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I think that it's more likely we will see at least one American League Central team make it this time around because you got to win the division. But I don't think you're seeing three American League Central teams in the postseason. I don't think it's going to happen. But we'll see. I could be wrong. But let me know what you guys think. What teams do you think that made the playoffs last year have a chance to miss the playoffs this year? And like I said, injuries are always a factor. So, yeah, I got a lot of spring training action today. I'm going to be locked into the Yankees game because Garrett Cole is starting, and also possibly a potential lineup that we could see on opening day, although Trent Grisham is playing, so I don't know. We'll see. But actually, to kind of take a look ahead at March 27th, which is opening day, still nothing's been finalized yet for a lot of teams on who they're going to start. The Brewers are going to be playing the Yankees. They got Freddie Peralta starting, and Garrett Cole's going to start. I mean, they might not have Garrett Cole listed, but he's probably going to start. But I see Zach Wheeler and Logan Webb and Sandy Alcantara. He's starting for the Marlins. Pablo Lopez, Tariq Skubal will be pitching against the Dodgers. I'm curious to see who the Dodgers end up starting on opening day. I don't believe they made an announcement on that yet, but it is going to be interesting, and I cannot wait for baseball season to be back. Really looking forward to it being back. It's going to be a lot of fun. Got a lot of stuff coming up. Keep saying it, but it's a good time to be a sports fan. So we will switch back to football when we come back from our final break of the show. We will talk about the Chicago Bears. We will do a season overview of their 2024 campaign, how it all went, what they have to do to improve their team. Now, they did make some improvements, so we will address those improvements, which we kind of have already, but we'll get into that. And then that will take us right to the very end of the show and get us set for Friday, another week behind us. And, we're getting to the point, at least on the East Coast, where the weather, or the upper, the Northeast. We're getting to a time where the weather is not freezing, which I am looking forward to that. This winter in the Northeast has been brutal. It's been very cold, and I need that warm weather to come back. But then, once we get to the summer, I'm going to be saying, yeah, now I want the weather to cool down a bit. So you can never win, but once we get to like the 40s and the 50s, or 50s weather, that's a perfect weather for me, in my opinion. Is, high 40s, low 50s. It's perfect, in my opinion. So, yeah, sorry I had to bring up the weather. But anyways, when we come back, we'll talk about the Bears, and then I'll take us right to the end of the show. So, for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.